a sound that seemed to come from deep within the earth itself. Well, that's exactly what's been happening under the Euphrates River, and it's a sound that could signal the end of the world as we know it. Let's discover the mysterious and terrifying sounds that have been emanating from beneath the river and the shocking revelations about what they could mean. Is it a warning of an impending disaster, or could it be a sign of something even more sinister? The Euphrates River is not only one of the world's oldest rivers, but also one of the most significant. This river is the site of a significant amount of historical events. The Euphrates River is in the process of drying up as it flows across portions of Western Asia. Why has the river historically struggled with maintaining enough water levels in its channels? To what extent does the Euphrates River play a significant role? There are others who believe that the drying up of the river would bring about the end of the world, but is this actually the case? Although it flows through Syria and Iraq, the Euphrates River is named after Turkey, where it originates. Before it reaches the Persian Gulf, the river flows into the Tigris and combines with it. It has a length of around 1,700 miles, and the average size of the basin is 190,000 square miles. The length of this river surpasses that of any other in Western Asia. Because there is typically more precipitation and runoff from melting snow during April and May, the water level is typically higher. Along the river, you can still see remnants of the original vegetation. In the mountains of southeast Turkey, for example, the Euphrates River flows through xeric woods. Along the coast of the river, you'll also find a variety of plants and trees, such as rose and plum trees, pistachio trees, and oak trees. Cereal grains like wheat, rye, and oat are typically grown in areas that have a greater prevalence of arid conditions. Not only is the Euphrates River stunning, with scenery that is sure to take your breath away, but there's a great deal of historical significance surrounding the river as well. For instance, Sipar, Nippur, Shuruppak, Mari, Nur, and Irkutsk were all ancient cities that were located along the riverbanks. It was fortunate to have water. It gave the towns that were located along the river with agricultural land that was rich in fertility. Texts written in cuneiform that were discovered in Shuruppak and pre-Sargonic Nippur include the first known references to the Euphrates River. It was created in the middle of the 3rd millennium BCE. An ancient Sumerian word for it was Biranunya, and people refer to it by that name. The name of the river is pronounced similarly to that of an ancient city that can be found in what is now the country of Iraq. There's a good chance that the city and the river were divinely tied to one another in some way. The Euphrates River is home to a diverse array of creatures, including fish, reptiles, and small and large mammals. Not only are there many kinds of animals, but there's also many kinds of plants and wildflowers. For instance, the Persian sand viper, the Levantine viper, the desert black viper, the beaked sea snake, and the yellow sea snake are the species of sea snakes that are most commonly found in the Euphrates River. Along the riverbank, willow trees and wild grass can be found growing. In addition to the vegetation, there's also animals such as shrews, river otters, wolves, hedgehogs, and wild pigs that can be found here. They regularly consume the water found in the Euphrates River. In the Hebrew Bible, the Euphrates is frequently used as a geographical landmark to illustrate the division between those who belong and those who do not. For instance, in Genesis chapter 15, verse 18, God gives a covenantal promise of land to Abraham, and he maps it out using the river Euphrates as its eastern border. This boundary is reinforced in later references throughout the Bible, such as in Josh chapter 1, verse 4. Solomon views the Euphrates River as not only the promised border, but also the actual geopolitical line that separates his kingdom from that of his neighbors. Jacob brings his new family over the Euphrates River to meet his parents and siblings so that he can escape his uncle and rejoin his tribe. Following the Babylonian exile, the Euphrates is depicted in literature as a boundary that divides the exiles from their original homeland. In the various biblical sources, the Euphrates is sometimes simply referred to as the river, such as in Josh chapter 24 verse 3 or Ezra chapter 4 verse 10. Why has the Euphrates River been shrinking in size for the past several years? The various dams, the droughts, the water regulations, and the abuse of water are only a few of the many reasons why. There are a lot of families in Iraq that rely on the river, and all of them are in severe need of water. The lack of precipitation in recent years is the primary factor contributing to the evaporation of the Euphrates River. They are facing the worst drought they have ever experienced in Iraq right now. Climate change and rising temperatures are additional issues that have become problematic problematic in Iraq and the surrounding area in recent years. Since many decades ago, this has been an issue, and the drying up of the river will have an impact on more than 7 million people. Crops are failing as a result of little rainfall, excessive temperatures, and the drying up of the river, and this has resulted in over 800 families abandoning their homes in the communities located near the Euphrates River. Sadly, the historical river Tigris is also suffering from a decrease in water levels and is drying up. Some people believe that the Euphrates River, which is rather lengthy, marks the end of the world. The Euphrates River plays an important role in the Bible, which is followed by Christians. If this river stops flowing, it'll be a clear indication that the end of the world is drawing near. This is a prophecy regarding the events that will take place just prior to the end of the world, and some people believe that the Garden of Eden was situated in the region that's now occupied by the Tigris and the Euphrates rivers. Despite the fact that it is impossible to say for sure whether or not the drying up of this river portends the end of the world, individuals who live in close proximity to the river and depend on it for water and agriculture are in a difficult position. There's no easy way to replenish the water in the Euphrates River, especially considering the all-time low annual rainfall totals. In ancient writings, the Euphrates often functions as a metaphor in addition to its literal function as a barrier between geographical regions. This kind of thing happens rather frequently. Scholars of geography like Edward Soha point out that geography is not a category that is impartial or objective. Rather, it symbolizes the intentions and perspectives of the people who develop it, whether they are current or ancient. For instance, the book of Isaiah, chapter 27, has a promise from God that one day Israel will be reassembled from the Euphrates to the Wadi of Egypt. When we talk of Israel, we're referring to both the Israelites who got separated in Egypt and the tribes that got scattered during the Assyrian conquest in the 8th century BCE. In this scenario, the Euphrates River serves not only as a physical barrier, but also as a chronological marker. That is, as a means to go through time and retrieve the lost Israelites. In other words, the Euphrates is a geographical boundary. An idealized remapping of ancient Israel is presented in Ezekiel chapters 40 through 48. This remapping makes use of natural characteristics of the region, such as the Euphrates River, but reimagines them collectively as a future utopian ideal. In the same way that the Euphrates functions as a temporal marker in the prophetic literature, the river also functions as a barrier in time, marking the eschaton in some apocalypses written in the 1st century CE. According to the book of John's Apocalypse, 4 angels are held captive in the Euphrates River. Nevertheless, they will be set free just before the end of the world, according to Revelations chapter 9, verse 14. The river will be dried up by a second angel, according to Revelation chapter 16, verse 12, so that the way of the kings of the east might be prepared. Additionally, the river is stopped in Ezra chapter 13, verses 39 through 47, when, at the eschaton, the lost tribes of Israel that are buried beyond the Euphrates will return to the land of Israel. This event takes place at the end of the age. The lost tribes will continue to reside east of the Euphrates until the end of the world. Baruch sends messages to Jews in Babylon through conventional messengers, but also sends letters to Jews beyond the Euphrates through an eagle. These letters exhort Torah adherence in light of the impending eschaton. The usage of an eagle in a fanciful context draws attention to the fact that the bird of prey must travel across time in order to find the long-disappeared tribes. That's all for the video today. We'll be right back with more, so don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel, and thanks for watching.